This video is commentary, and it's based on my opinion. Unlike many influencers, I will not claim that my opinion equates fact, so please keep that in mind, and do not send hate or bully anyone involved or discussed in this video.
Really important to note that there's no basis in science whatsoever for any of these obscure identities. Non-binary, gender fluid, genderqueer, none of them have any evidence backing them pointing towards their validity whatsoever. Transgenderism, on the other hand, is neurologically observable. Gender dysphoria is medically diagnosable. And I'm going to put some links down below to...
Okay. Like, honey, I'm very aware you guys exist. You're very loud. You make yourself known. No one's saying you don't exist. I'm just saying you're not the same thing as being trans, and that's okay. And that's...
It's not okay to say that. It's very wrong. It's not just discriminatory and transphobic. It's factually incorrect.
It's not bad. Why do people only get upset when I say being trans is different than non-binary, but yet people can make all these other distinctions like pansexual is not the same thing as bisexual, and this sexual is slightly different than this sexuality, and this label is slightly different. Why does everyone get a different label, but I have to be labeled with this?
Okay. When someone says that Blaire White says trans people don't exist, no one is saying that Blaire claims that these people don't exist. We know she knows these people exist. She makes videos about them roughly every week and stretches the time to about 10 minutes so she can get all that juicy ad revenue. God, if Blaire White uploaded like 3 times a week, she'd be a millionaire if she isn't already. That's not what anyone's claiming. Now, in regards to the whole they're different, yes, being non-binary and being binary trans and like transitioning, which you generally, I imagine most binary, like non-binary trans people probably don't end up physically transitioning all that much. Some do, I imagine. I don't know. Not an expert. However, no one's claiming that they aren't different. You are claiming they aren't trans.
Blaire is what's known as a trans medicalist. It's a term used for a wide range of beliefs, although the core belief is that it's impossible to truly be transgender without having gender dysphoria. Many trans medicalists, or transmeds for short, focus on gatekeeping. Blaire gatekeeps the trans community with her belief that anybody who doesn't have dysphoria and who doesn't medically transition doesn't get the luxury of identifying as trans. She basically has created this elitist sense that only those who can afford the surgery or who choose the surgery, because not everybody does, because not everybody is one gender, which is contrary to what she believes as well. But as you can see in the definition and just the summary below, if you want to pause and give it a read, that's fine. It's just wrong, and scientific backing has totally gone against what she's claiming here. She also will frequently misgender those who she does not accept as a true trans, making herself sort of what you should strive to be as a trans individual. To say that it's impossible for a person who is transgender to be transphobic or homophobic or just like generally toxic to the community is beyond ignorant. And she is absolutely that. Even in her video trying to dispel the myth that she is transphobic, she accomplishes absolutely nothing to prove her point, just proving further that she is, in fact, a transphobe. So, in my opinion, it's already been proven by Blaire herself that she is problematic and transphobic. But is she racist? There's an article by an author named Catherine Cross. Back in 2018, the article was not featuring Blaire, but she did have mention in the article. I'm going to show a screenshot of the headline and the section that she's mentioned in, along with a tweet of Blaire's reaction to this article. The part she took offense to was the section where Cross referred to Blaire as an ethno-nationalist. Blaire obviously took great offense to this. And after her crybaby tantrum and threatening to sue, the author did make some edits to this article. And with her famous history for absolutely in-depth research, Blaire took to celebrate on Twitter. Meanwhile, in my opinion, this was the best burn ever. To me, just a scan of her history tells me that Catherine Cross was not far off when she made her first assumption about Blaire White.
Hey guys, so first things first, because you guys always notice everything about me. If you're wondering why my hands are Oompa Loompa colored, it's because I recently tried a tanning lotion out and I really regret it. It's really not a good look, but on the bright side, I'm only cornrows away from being able to demand reparations from you guys. Glass half full.
This next clip, courtesy of Tamimi, is Blaire defending herself when she was accused of posting a blackface photo. So let's give her the benefit of the doubt for a minute and listen to what she has to say. After, we'll take a look at the original post.
So here's another photo people love digging up from 2016. A photo of me apparently in blackface. Only it's not blackface. It's a beauty treatment. It's a mud mask. It's a face mask. How actually mentally deficient you have to be to think that I would unabashedly even post a blackface picture. This face mask specifically is from Boscia, or it's Boscia, I don't know how to pronounce it. It's this mask I used to wear all the time from Sephora. It didn't work, it broke me out. But it's just so ridiculous. And it's even more ridiculous that people have the nerve to misrepresent someone like that. And I am not making this video to apologize because I have nothing to apologize for.
Nice try, Blaire. Way to leave the most relevant part of your post out of your apology, or no, your non-apology video. That was blackface, and that was disgusting. And way to drop some homophobia in there with your racism, Blaire. Good job. High five. Next, let's have a look at some of her really awesome research skills and backpedaling for the win.
Logging out on Twitter in a very direct way.
So trustworthy.
She's gone back and forth competing with men and women based on I don't know what.
So honest.
Doesn't really warrant a whole tweet, doesn't really warrant anything like that.
This person, which first of all, never trust.
Later on, however, she goes on Chris Hansen's show and starts talking to Javon Monroe and starts asking him questions, and she says this.
I think are very interested, and I noticed it in the chat as well, so I want to kind of speak for them and ask this, and I think Jay could really speak to this, or maybe not, I don't know. But the Jeffree Star aspect of this story, and I touched on it in my video, and but I didn't have all the facts, and people kind of corrected me and said, you know, when Jeffree Star tweeted what he tweeted about Davi being a pedophile, Jeffree worked with him afterwards, which shocked me. I thought it was, you know, Jeffree worked with him and then tweeted that and then it was over.
No, you didn't. Absolutely didn't. And here's the proof that that was another lie, Blaire.
What do you mean you didn't have all of the facts? They were right there, 20 seconds into the video of mine that you downloaded for your video. That's a lie, Blaire. That's a lie. Some of the clips that she used in her video from my video were 10 minutes in. She had to watch the full video to gather all of these clips and then put them in hers. She had to watch my video, download it, edit my video, and crop it to put my video clips into her video, okay? So I know she watched my video. If she says something along the lines of, oh, well, I only skimmed through it to get a couple parts, first of all, then that means you're doing faulty research, and secondly, I find it very, very highly coincidental that you just skipped out every single part where Jeffree Star retracted his information, considering that it's within the first minute of that video.
Which is one possibility. Or that Jeffree doesn't care. Or I guess a third possibility would be that Davi somehow convinced Jeffree that what he thought was true about his sexual towards young girls wasn't true. So it's really only three possibilities. I think people are just really confused.
You either saw it happen and later pretended that you didn't, or you actually didn't see this happen and somehow he convinced you that he didn't do this, meaning that your tweet was a lie, which doesn't make sense to me. That's a huge coincidence,
It's recently
Blaire.
become a debate here on YouTube. It started with Jacqueline Glenn, an atheist YouTuber, and some other girl making a video talking about how, as they see it, there's only two genders. In comes Onision, my old buddy Onision. I'm sure you guys are having the flashbacks. And his video was just typical Onision style. Retarded. He basically made a video calling them transphobic. 2016, facts are transphobic. Imagine that. In comes a slew of SJWs who made videos, you know, going after Jacqueline, talking about how there are millions of genders and people can be all of them or none of them at the same time, and it's transphobic to think anything but that. So it's just this huge mess, and I just wanted to bring things into perspective. So if you're going to join me on this journey of discovering the true number of genders, we're going to have to agree on one solid foundation, which is that gender is not a social construct. It is different than sex in that gender is a word used to describe differences between the sexes and the roles that they fill, but it's not socially constructed. It's almost entirely biological. Humans are a sexually dimorphic species, and gender roles as they manifest in women and men represent measurable differences in behaviors between the sexes, almost all of which are the result of genetic inclination, not a social one. I mean, this is what happens when people refuse to remember the fact that we are animals. And across virtually every species on the planet, there are gender roles. These roles are biologically enforced and fueled. The fact that male seahorses are the ones that carry the eggs of their offspring is not a social...
The inaccurate misinformation that this woman with millions of followers continues to spew is beyond disgusting and absolutely vile and dangerous.
That it's valid in any other setting other than inside of your own head. Not one of these new genders of the week are scientifically valid. I mean, there's nothing to measure them with. That is the difference between all that other shit and transsexuals. But therein lies the problem. You guys call yourself trans and you're not. There seems to be this new implication that anyone who is slightly gender non-conforming or, you know, slightly varies in their masculine to feminine levels and characteristic traits or hobbies is somehow transgender. Just because you fail to be perfectly masculine or perfectly feminine doesn't mean that you have invented a new gender. I mean, that's the thing. SJWs conflate gender expression, of which of course there are 1,000 ways to express yourself, with gender itself. They are not the same thing. Being transgender is medically diagnosable. So here's why all of this nonsense actually pissed me off enough to make this little rant video about it. There are a ton of people now running around self-diagnosing themselves, creating new words and buzzwords and rules for how you should interact with trans people when they themselves are not trans.
And honestly, what's really funny is I didn't really have to go far to find a horrible picture of this person. I went straight to their profile picture.
Why'd you Photoshop the beard on them, Blaire? Why'd you do it? How stupid is Blaire White that she makes a video defending against claims that she's transphobic, and in the fucking thumbnail, she photoshops a beard. She photoshops a beard on the author of the article.
So yeah, I think all these identities are largely bullshit. I think they're super arbitrary. I think they're super meaningless. I think people who take them on are usually extremely boring and have nothing else to their personality other than I'm demi-queer, non-binary, genderfuck, special snowflake kin. And if you pay attention to these people, you'll notice that very rarely will you meet someone who identifies as one of these things who is not heavily involved in political activism. So it's really important to note there's no basis in science whatsoever for any of these obscure identities. Non-binary, gender fluid, genderqueer, none of them have any evidence backing them pointing towards their validity whatsoever.
So now let's just have a really brief conversation about why this is so dangerous. How it can be absolutely detrimental to someone when a person like Blaire gets on her platform without doing any research or having done the research and deciding to omit the most relevant parts of what she's talking about. Let's talk about Janae Kroc.
Yeah, the concept of Janae competing against biological women is ludicrous. It's almost intentionally ignorant, and anyone who thinks that that is some sort of level playing field is a liar. You're lying to her, you're lying to others, and you're lying to yourself, sweetie. The idea that Janae, who transitioned well into her adulthood and developed completely male, can now compete against women is bad. It's a bad idea.
Something else that's a really bad idea is talking about something that you know is absolutely untrue. Blaire used this post throughout her video while she implied and directly said many times that Janae was trying to compete or was competing against women. What she conveniently failed to show is the paragraph directly below where she cropped that post, where Janae specifically states that she is not and has not competed in the women's division for any sport. This could have been really bad. I mean, it was really bad. But this could have been dangerous. Janae received hate. Janae received a lot of nasty response to this video. Weeks for Blaire to address this in any fashion when it was minutes after her video was posted that her audience drew her attention to the fact that she was wrong. And when she did finally offer her half-assed apology, not on the platform where she made this huge error, in my opinion, it was way too little and way too late. Do better, Blaire. None of this is okay. Absolutely none of it.
My hand, it's because I recently tried a tanning lotion out and I really regret it. It's really not a good look. But on the bright side, I'm only cornrows away from being able to demand reparations from you guys. Glass half full.